We'll go to Indianapolis where Chris is on the line. Chris, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hi, Ken. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure. How can I help?
Hey, so my fiance just moved back from another state, and she is having trouble figuring out what she wants to do with her life. I've tried to have the conversation with her that possibly going back to school, her education stops at a high school diploma. Unfortunately, she feels a little bit intimidated me. I have an MBA, and she thinks that I'm going a lot farther, a lot faster. And so I just need your advice on how to have that conversation with her as to what to look for, what questions that she needs to answer for herself.
Yeah. Well, she needs to answer this big question. This is a fun one. I'd start with this one, and then I'll give you some other questions to kind of help maybe ease her brain and allow it to flow and kind of connect with her heart. But the big question is, if you could sit down with her and you just say, hey, babe, listen, if we could just make it happen tomorrow, I could snap my fingers and there's no risk, guaranteed success. You knew you were going to be successful at it. No way to fail. What would you try tomorrow? Doesn't mean that you have to say, this is the only thing I'm going to do the rest of my life. So take all those kind of qualifiers away. You following me? Yeah. And that's what people do. They'll go, oh, well, I might fail. So they get scared. Or then people go, well, I don't know if that's what I want to do the rest of my life. Well, we're not saying that. We're saying you get to try it as an adventure. You know you're going to be good at it. You know you're going to enjoy it. And you know you're going to be successful. What would you try tomorrow if there was no risk at all? I'd start there. Because inside of your fiance's head and heart are some clues if there's not something that's super specific that she's always wondered about. And the reason that she's not pursuing it or has not pursued it usually is going to come down to fear, doubt, and pride. So she's afraid of something, she doubts something, or she's got too much pride to ask for help or to look as though she's going backwards at this stage in her life. And so when you can begin that conversation with her, Chris, and keep her in that, what would we call that? Like riverbanks. The conversation needs to flow there. Then if she's honest with herself, she'll begin to identify some things that she wants to do. So we've got to figure out where she wants to go before we figure out how she gets there. So, the conversation so far, even the way you posed the question, Chris, is all about, well, how does she get where she wants to go? Well, where does she want to go? So once we know the where, once we know the what she wants to do, what mountain she wants to climb, why she wants to climb it, then we figure out the where is the best place to do this and how we get there. Make sense?
Yes.
So that's the conversation. And I'll be honest with you, I appreciate you calling on her behalf, but I can be way more helpful to her if she calls me.
Okay.
So I'd get her to listen to the show. Let her listen to the podcast of the show. Let her listen to a couple callers and how I treat folks. And give me a shout. But did that help you?
It did. Can I ask one follow-up question?
Of course.
How do you overcome family rejection? So it's kind of a two people on this side. As one, if I encourage her to do something, her mom or her brother or her dad or whoever rejects that idea. How do you overcome that rejection and tell her to pursue it?
Yeah, you can't. She must.
Okay.
So the only way she's going to overcome that is she goes, is this the life that my mom and dad want me to live? How's that working out? What life do I want to live? Is it my mom and dad's life? Why are mom and dad rejecting it? Is it because they probably didn't chase their own dreams and so they think that seems scary and reckless? What do you think? What's the answer, Chris? Have her mom and dad ever pursued anything?
They did. They pursued their own company in construction. Mom's a college professor. Dad still does construction, but now for someone else.
But what are they rejecting?
There's a lot going on with her family, but that gave me the exact answer I needed.
Yeah, but what are they rejecting? I'm just curious.
Anything. So because she has not ever specialized in something, her mom first off, she says that I want to go do A, B, C, and D, and they're completely unrelated ideas.
Yeah.
So her mom comes back and says, no, you need to stick to one thing and focus, and I agree with her on that. It's just that when she...
Well, yes, once we know what it is. But right now, yeah. I would love to know what A, B, C, and D are. I really would. I'd love for your fiancé to call the show because I'd like to see what the connections are between the 3-4 things. And
Okay.
then right now she needs to be exploring those. Doesn't mean she goes and works in all 4 of them, but she needs to get in proximity. Hey, let's give her the Proximity Principle book. How about that, Chris? How about we just give her a book and say, read this?
Absolutely. I like it.
All right, hang on the line. Madison's going to take care of you. It's the #1 best-selling book, The Proximity Principle. You can get it at kencoleman.com, wherever books are sold, and it will give her a very clear path.